Well, hello there and welcome to Travels with Geordie. If this is your first visit, my name is Peter Knowles and I live on this classic Ed Monk designed wooden motor cruiser here in Victoria, British Columbia, along with the loving memory of my pup Geordie, whom the boat is named after. All while fixing it up for some pretty ambitious cruising. If that's the sort of thing you might find interesting, please consider sticking around and subscribing. I'd love to have you. Well, today is going to be fastening, and more fastening. Basically, it's putting in the butt blocks that I never got in for the new planks, which are a bit sophisticated actually, and tons of screws. Basically, I'm going to use up all the screws I have to refasten the boat as much as possible, because why not? Okay, pretty mundane stuff today. Finishing up these planks, which includes fastening them, building and installing all the butt blocks, all four. Then we'll get around to recovering the through hulls out of the old planks and reinstalling them in the new planks. And I think chop up the old garboards and keep some sections of them for something or other, not quite sure what. If I'm lucky, I'll finish the day caulking and painting the garbage, which will mean, did I call it the garbage unintentionally? It's not garbage anymore, it's perfect now. Which will mean that the bottom is done. Awesome. Actually, I think I'll begin the day doing the mundane job of extending the wires for my little trolling motor for the dinghy, because if I don't do it, it won't get done, and then I'll be in a situation where the battery wants to slide around in the back of the boat. This 8 gauge is a little heavy for this scrawny little outboard, but if I ever get a nicer outboard, I can deal with that. I kind of hate this little nylon crimp connector, but I'm going to put more shrink tube over it to deal with that. Okay, I'm not endorsing this as an official ABYC or any other sort of technique, but if you're having to butt splice 2 different gauge wires together, you can just fold one of them over and oops, I got it. Yeah, you can just fold one of them over and it will double its size, and that works out quite successfully. This sorry little connector is actually a heat shrink, but I'm going to put some heat shrink over it to make sure it's really good. And then the lugs for the battery terminals. Don't forget to put the shrink tube on first, although that might have fit over. Well, there we go. Well, it's awfully tempting to throw this on and go for a little ride, but I'm supposed to be getting work done. Plus, security around here is good, but I think I'll wait till just before I leave. Okay, so here's one of the butt blocks from the aft end. Now, this just got a little more complicated. I wasn't thinking about it, but of course, they're very wide planks. They're wider than any stock I have, with the grain running in the correct direction. Now, it's important that if the butt block, the grain is running in the same direction as the planks, because you're going to be bolting them through. What you're trying to do is create strength across them. If the butt block is in the opposite direction and the planks are coming this way, well, one split and everything's over. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a piece of 3/4 Sabelli mahogany and make the base block. Imagine that, this is already exactly the right size. Wow. What that means is the overlap onto the keel and onto the next plank is handled in the wrong direction by this level of the plank, and that's fine. That'll be perfectly suitable. And then I'm going to make an upper block that sits on there, which isn't necessarily as wide as I need to bridge the extra blocks, but plenty wide enough for the bolts that are going to go through, and that gives me my strength in the right direction. So a 2-part butt block. Yeah. And because we're professionals here at Shady Ship Fitters, let's put a little epoxy on here. That'll do for me. Put these right in the corners so there's no way I interfere with the main bolts holding the plank on. Okay, let's go put it in place. Okay, this will be a bit of a weaving project to get this down into there. All right, and then down onto the keel. Right. I can tell when it hits right there. Beauty. Yeah, it's very nice. It goes up. Oh, this is going to be a mess if I'm not careful. Right there. And this one lands on the keel right there. Okay. And I'm gonna use my clamps in backwards mode here. There's loads of room in here. Just has to be solid enough to put the screws in. There we go. That is good until I get some screws in the bottom. So the first three will be the screws. Okay, and then the remaining will be carriage bolts. Okay, good. So now I'm going to convert these holes and 3 more holes here for carriage bolts. But first I got to go take the clamps off. Alright, so now I'll convert these other screw holes to auger holes for the carriage bolts. Perfect. And on this side I don't have to convert anything because it's fresh wood. And drill them through. Okay, and finally the carriage bolts, get them ready for gooping with 291 and cotton caulking. All right. Okay, so here's the butt blocks for the forward end of the new garbage. Let's go test fit them. Okay, it's a pretty narrow space. My head is likely to be in the way. That should slide down and just sit on the keel. Very happy with that one. And this one should come up here. And this one's a bit stiff. Yeah, could do with that being just a little bit smaller. Okay, let's try that again. Very nicely. Very nicely. This is gonna get cumbersome. The wrong end sticking up in my face here. Okay, and that worked out quite well. Okay, I'm going to try and move relatively quickly here because there is the slightest bit of misalignment, and I'd like the it's not as bad as this, but there's a little bit, and I want the carriage bolts to pull it together as much as possible. Okay, on the other side. First, some goo. And then a little bit of cotton. And we pound them up. Okay, let's get some nuts on the inside. And then I have to put some tension on inside with the nuts and washers. Just give a little more, and you'd be surprised. You can pull a little more in. Again, I don't pull these tight, just I want to make sure they're snug. I want to make sure that there's no voids in there. And then finally, while the 291 is still not cured, I pump in a little more, and because there's no sense trying to bung these holes, they're so polluted with 291 as it is. If you cut the tube really short, it's just like a hydraulic cylinder coming out of there. You just fill them up and shear it off. Excellent. So I'm refastening the remainder of the garboard going forward. It's good, but it's not great. Now that I'm trying to make the boat even better, this will be the next plank that's replaced. It's also very wide, it's even wider. So hopefully I can find some wood at my next haul out to do that. But in the meantime, I'm gonna make sure it's good and solid. All right, so the next project is to retrieve the through hulls from these garboards. Honestly, these are such evil pieces of wood. They're just rubbish, rubbish, rubbish. It's like something they pulled out of the Black Sea, out of a ancient wreck or something. Okay, well, let's see what we can do with these. The first step is to basically just open up this section of the plank so that we can I can split it off the through hull. Okay, then I'm assuming we can just split this off of here, but let me first undo what I can. This will be a good chance to switch these out for the bronze ones that I was gifted. I actually didn't expect that to go that easily. Not that we've recovered the through hulls yet, but might have wanted to do all this while the plank was still whole. Give me some more mechanical advantage. Okay. Okay, clean. Boy, nothing much to clean up. It basically shredded all the 290. That's interesting. It's millions of little balls. Very interesting. Well, that's as clean as a whistle. Of course, I would love to reuse these blocks, and I don't see why I won't be able to, but let's just... Nah, that's not coming off there easy. Okay, time to split this apart. Okay, I'm getting to it now. That 291 is holding. Okay, doesn't mean it's free. Let me ponder this. So all I can think of is it may be that this needs heat. There we go, piece of cake. I should be able to pull that out by hand from now on. Excellent. So there we are. 6 pieces of the gnarly garboard. I'll put them in a bin somewhere. Something airtight because they don't smell very good. Well, as we consult the bulkhead of reality, there's actually nothing I can take off here because I didn't do any of these things. Well, wait. Let's just add butt blocks, recover the through hulls, and do some refastening. Quite a lot of refastening, which is what kept me mostly busy. So we can take that off the bulkhead of reality. See you tomorrow. Well, hello there and welcome to the Travels with Geordie Beer of the Week, fashionably shot on late Saturday morning. Okay, let's get straight to the beer. Looking forward to this. Now this is interesting. This is Red Arrow Sweet Leaf IPA, but it was gifted to me by D.L. Fendel, who actually lives in Chattanooga, Tennessee, by way of his friends, the Wanamamakers, who actually delivered this to me on his behalf, as well as a gift from him, the Of Glove, which I understand was probably to help me with the steam bending of the oak frames, but will be very handy for subsequent barbecue and baking standards. So thank you ever so much, D.L. Fendel, for that, and we'll enjoy this beer on your behalf. It's a slow morning around here, finishing up the edit and getting geared up for more work, so I don't feel too bad about a nooner beverage. It's a lovely day here, which is nice, sunny, warm, and not too hot, which is just what I'm looking for. Well, cheers again to you. This looks actually lovely. Oh, and it is lovely. Perfect. Okay, so right on with the business at hand. Last week's winner of a Travels with Geordie t-shirt was Ken Wright. So Ken, get a hold of me and we'll make sure you get your shirt. Huge thanks yet again to amazing support through Patreon and PayPal. Just came aboard this last week on Patreon. Brad Putnam, Thomas Horn, George Staples, Jonathan Mezawar, and he was kind enough to send me pronunciation so that I didn't make a mess of his name, as well as Robert Caston. Thank you ever so much to all of you. Very, very grateful. And also from PayPal, Robert Stiles, Ambroise Noog, I hope, Neil Fonger, Runar Oz also sent me his pronunciation, Scott Schweigart, which I hope I also didn't make a mess of, and Daniel Beatty. Thank you all so very, very much for your support. Extra valuable at this time, I assure you. Cheers. Also want to thank Dean Matson, who just walked right in here and handed me a little wad of cash, which I really am very, very grateful for. Thank you so much, Dean. All right, what a day we have ahead. But first, you need a word of the week. And to be honest with you, I haven't even thought about it. Yes, I know what it's going to be. It's going to be splash. Splash! Because I'm going to splash this coming Wednesday. Actually, I might have been able to get in a few days earlier because I'm pretty close now, but it was the first available launching spot here at the yard. So Wednesday afternoon, we will splash. Cheers. See ya.